Which is better, T-Mobile Revvl 7 5G or T-Mobile Revvl 7 Pro 5G? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my comparison of the Revvl 7 5G versus the Revvl 7 Pro 5G. Now, I'd like to thank T-Mobile for sending both of these devices out to me to cover here on the channel, and of course, all opinions expressed in this video are completely my own. Now, since hearing about these two devices being launched, I've actually been very excited about them, and for a very good reason. The Revvl series from T-Mobile has been going on for quite a while now up to this point, and these devices always provide a lot more value than pretty much anything else available. And for example, both of these phones, of course, are offered at T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile, and you can pretty much get either of them for free if you port in from another carrier or create a new line. And even at the MSRPs of $199 for the Revvl 7 and then $249 for the Pro, we're getting tons of features here and also a really good chipset for a very affordable price. And it's pretty hard to find really any competition that provides this much value at this price segment. So again, if you are interested in getting either of these two phones, I definitely recommend walking into your local carrier store to see what offers are available. Now, while these two phones have quite a bit in common, they also have quite a few differences, and I'm looking forward to showing you all of that here in this video. Now, the first thing I want to talk about are the displays here. So the display here with the Pro is a little bit bigger at 6.78 inches versus 6.58 inches for the Revvl 7. Another difference you probably noticed as well is that with the regular Revvl 7, we do have a notch up top here compared to a hole punch for the front-facing camera on the Pro. And then also here with the 7, we do have thicker bezels overall compared to the Pro, which does have smaller bezels. The display technologies are also different, with the Revvl 7 having an IPS LCD display, whereas the Pro model has an AMOLED display. Now, both devices do have 1080p displays, so things are very crisp and clear here. And then with the 7, we have a PPI of 401, and then the 7 Pro has a PPI of 393, since the display here is a bit larger. Now, overall though, the Pro has way better colors, way better viewing angles as well, and definitely with it being AMOLED, it does make a big noticeable difference. Honestly, I would certainly go for the Pro if you can. That's kind of the general summary of this video, but the regular model still has a lot going for it. But definitely when it comes to display brightness, clarity, and pretty much everything related to that, the Pro is better in pretty much every way. In fact, the display that we're getting here with the 7 really isn't that great at all. Now moving on from here, as I mentioned, the front cameras of course are up top here on both devices. With the Revvl 7, we're getting an 8 megapixel front-facing camera compared to a 16 megapixel front-facing camera with the 7 Pro. And then the 7 has 128 gigabytes of storage compared to double that at 256 with the 7 Pro, and then both phones do feature microSD card expansion. Now overall, in 2024, I generally recommend that people do go for 256, but overall, you can certainly survive with 128. It's certainly not like that's an inadequate amount of storage. It's just that as a lot of people nowadays are downloading videos to watch on the plane, for example, and apps are just getting bigger and bigger, the more storage, the better. But at least with microSD card expansion, you can always offload photos and videos onto that SD card to free up some of that internal space. Now, with the 7, there is no wireless charging, but the 7 Pro does have wireless charging. In fact, this phone can recharge at up to 15 watts, so that's certainly very impressive there. Now, I don't know if you currently use wireless charging. I definitely find it to be very convenient. I have quite a few wireless chargers around my house. For example, one by my bed, another one at my desk, another one in the kitchen, and it certainly is very convenient just to put the phone on that wireless charger and then kind of forget about it and then grab it whenever you need it. So it's not necessarily a deal breaker that there's no wireless charging with the 7, but it is a nice feature to have with the 7 Pro and certainly not a gimmick. Now, both of these devices do have face unlock, which is really nice. And then they also both have side-mounted fingerprint sensors. And I like how these power buttons, which double as the fingerprint sensors, also have this magenta accent. So we'll give this a try first on the Revvl 7. So very fast and responsive there. We'll also give this a try here on the 7 Pro. It also works very fast. So certainly when it comes to the fingerprint sensors, they are very good here in both phones. But with the Revvl 7, we are getting a USB-C cable, but one of the sides is USB-A. And then with the Revvl 7 Pro, we are getting a double-sided USB-C cable. So just keep in mind that there is that difference here. Now, a major difference with these two devices definitely has to be the cameras that we're getting here. So there are some similarities, but also some differences. The first difference is the literal number of cameras we're getting, because with the Revvl 7, we are getting a triple camera setup compared to a quad camera setup with the 7 Pro. Now with both phones, we are getting a 50 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera, but then with the Pro, we also gain a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. And then over here on the camera apps on both devices, you can see there's an option here for 0.5, which is the ultra wide camera with the Revvl 7 Pro. And then also with both phones, we can then go over to the more tabs here. We can actually access the full 50 megapixel mode, by the way. So I'll capture a photo here with each device. So 50 megapixels is not enabled by default on these phones, and that is because it just takes up a lot more space on the devices, and they figure that most people don't necessarily need 50 megapixels at all times. But you can see even now in the side-by-side here, and keep in mind the display technologies are different, but you can see that there's a lot more vibrance and colors here with the Revvl 7 Pro compared to the Revvl 7. Also, when it comes to video recording with both of these phones, it does max out at 2K with the rear camera, so unfortunately no 4K video recording. And then another strange thing too is that there is portrait mode, which you can find here under live focus, but it's literally just for the rear camera. There is no portrait mode for the front-facing camera. So if we go over here to the selfie mode, and there's me right there, of course we can take standard selfies, but if you want to then switch over to live focus for portrait mode, it immediately will flip you over to the rear camera. So there's literally no front-facing portrait mode here with either of the two devices, which is pretty much something that you cannot find with pretty much any Android phone out there, even the lowest of the low end. So I'm not sure what they were thinking by not giving us portrait mode for the front-facing cameras in both phones. The predecessors to these devices also lack that feature, so I just don't get it. Now, both of these phones do have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor, so that is really nice that despite even the regular 7 being a lower-end phone compared to the Pro, we're still getting that great chipset. And overall, found really great performance by having that processor. Definitely been very happy and impressed with that. And the only difference really is that we're getting less RAM with the 7 at 6 gigabytes compared to 8 gigabytes of RAM with the Revvl 7 Pro. Now, interestingly, I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6 with both phones, and the regular 7 actually scored a little bit better here than the 7 Pro. I feel like the reason for that might be because the display here with the regular 7 is not as high-end of a display, so that might take a little bit more system resources to power that AMOLED display here with the 7 Pro. But overall, these scores are very close, and considering that the two phones do have the same chipset, I'm not totally surprised here. And then both phones do have 5,000 mAh internal batteries. However, the Revvl 7 can max out at up to 15 watts for fast charging, but we get up to 25 watt fast charging with the 7 Pro. Now, both of these phones do have NFC, so you can use them for tap and pay. Both phones also come with Android 14 out of the box, but we are getting a pretty much stock version of the software. And then both phones do have stereo speakers, which is a nice big surprise. So we're going to be getting sound out of both the main speaker on the bottom here, and then also the earpiece up top. Now, both phones are made completely of plastic besides the displays, which are made of glass. Taking a look at the left side of both phones, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. On the right side, we have volume up, volume down, and then the power button, which doubles as the fingerprint sensor. Then up top here, both phones have the noise-canceling microphone. And then on the bottom, both devices have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the speaker. And then you can tell here that the two phones do feature different colors. So I actually really like this silver look here on the regular 7, but also this kind of wavy look here, this matte wavy look on the 7 Pro also looks pretty nice as well. But fingerprints are definitely way less noticeable here on the 7 compared to the Pro. So in conclusion, I think both of these devices are very competitive here from T-Mobile, and even though the 7 Pro is better in literally every way compared to the 7, it's not like the 7 is a bad choice. That's for sure. I especially appreciate that we are still getting that Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor here with the 7, just like the Pro. So if you go for the 7, it's certainly not like you're making some sort of mistake. It's just that you're getting better features here with the 7 Pro. So that's certainly worth keeping in mind. But most importantly, I'm curious to know what you think. Which of these two phones would you go for? I suppose right now they're both free, so I don't really know why someone would go for the 7 over the Pro. But who knows, maybe in the future they'll stop offering discounts in the Pro and only offer discounts in the 7 or something like that. So we'll have to see what happens, but at least now you know the differences and similarities of these two devices. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.